Welcome back to AMA Collectibles, guys. I'm here with another deck profile for you today. Before I get into the video, I just want to say on behalf of AMA, we are very sorry for the lack of updates for the past month and a half or so. But we are back now, and hopefully we'll be pumping out more content than before. And so for today's video, I'd just like to make an announcement. Apparently the English side of Weiss just announced a new set, which was Overlord, and and however, the name in English is called Nazarick Tomb of the Undead or something like that. But if anything, it is going to be the JP Overlord that's coming over to English Weiss. And for today's deck profile, it will be about that Overlord deck. So for this build I'm about to show today, it is the standby pants build, which is a very strong build. I personally like this build, and if anything, Overlord is actually one of my favorite sets. So this is going to be a really fun time showing you guys. So let's get started. So to start off the level 0 lineup, we have the 3 Nabe coin flips, 2 of that stock against 1500. And at the start of your opponent's draw phase, you reveal the top card. If it's level 1 or higher, it goes back to your hand. So this card, 3k on so 2 of that stock for 3k. 3k gets over most things, so that's nice. And it bounces back to hand, which is also very nice because it dodges any bombs, suiciders, and all that stuff. So it's a good card. It's a good card. And also, if it goes back to hand, you can do it again and stuff like that. And this card actually does combos very nicely with the next card I'm about to show, which is the 4 Mare Mill Runners. So on play, mill the top card. If it's a level 1 or higher, this card gains 2k for the turn. And second effect, if you mill the top card, if it's a character, then it can move to any position, any open position in the front row. So this card combos very nicely with the Nabe coin flip, because let's say you attack for the turn, and you attack for the turn at the start of the draw phase, you reveal the top card, and it's a character. And since you know that it's going to character, that means you don't have to blindingly just mill the card to get this to run. So now you know that your next card is going to be a character. That way you will safely mill it, and then you can move to any position in the field. And also, if you get the coin flip off, you can actually open up more space in the front row, so for this to run over to. So yeah, it's really, these two just work so well together. Next up, we have the 3 level 0 Albedos here. So so this card is very good in a standby build, because for one thing, before I get into that, let's start with the first effect. The first effect is you may mill the top card. If that card has a soul trigger, you can choose one of your other trait characters and give it 1 soul, which helps push your opponent to level. And the second effect, if you play a climax, you can bounce this back to hand and give 1k to someone else. So this is really good in this particular build, because for one thing, sometimes you're gonna have a full field sometimes, and if you have this in your full field, you can play the standby, bounces back to hand, and then bounce it back to hand, give someone 1k, and then standby in the character into that open slot. So basically, you don't have to play over anything. You actually get hand back, and you can also play this again next turn and give someone else +1 soul if you hit the 1 soul trigger when you send it to waiting room and stuff like that. So this card is absolutely amazing. I would play 4, but 3 is enough for now. So yeah, very important card in standby builds. Next up, we have the 3 Shout to Your Brainstorms. Very strong Brainstorm. Minus 500 to front row on play. To any minus 500 to your opponent's on play, choose one of your opponent's characters. It gets minus 500 attack. It actually does very well against most clock bombs. Not clock bombs, maybe bottom deck bombs, so that I have only like base 500 power, which is instantly kills them. And it's a salvage brainstorm. Pay 1, tap self, salvage brainstorm. So in this deck, you're gonna build a lot. So you'll be grabbing most of your cards either through salvaging most of the time. So yeah, good card. Next up, we have the 1 Soiree Scry 3 grab 1. So this is your main way to grab your climaxes. To grab the standby climax at least, because there's only 4 standbys, and sometimes you may not draw into your standby. So having this here really does fix that a little bit. So basically, it's pay 1, ditch 1, look up the top 3, and grab any card from the 3 and add it to your hand. So it's nice. It's a nice way to grab your climaxes if you don't have the climax. So yeah, only play 1. Next up, we have the 2 Albedo drop search promos. this is another. This is just a way to search your deck. You actually don't have that many options to search the deck in this build, so having two of these kind of does fix the problem. But most of the time, you're probably just gonna be salvaging most of the cards you need anyways. So yeah, only play two though, cause I don't need. In my experience, I don't have any trouble running only running limited options of searching the deck. I've been mostly just salvaging my stuff, so yeah, it kind of works out for me in the end. So that wraps up for the level 0 lineup. We'll start off with the level 1 line. Start off with the level 1 lineup now. So we're gonna start off for the level 1 lineup. The 4 Shoutier level 1 Suiciders. This card is absolutely amazing. It's on play top check if it's a trait character against 2K, and it's a level 1 reverse bomb. So for this card here, the reason I play 4 because it's just really good. I just like it. I just really like it. For one thing, what you can do is you can play this top check reveal. It gets 2K, so it becomes 5K. Becomes 5K, which is actually pretty big enough to get over some things, which sometimes you want to do, because honestly, I don't use Shoutier to just crash into things and just reverse them. I kind of want Shoutier to survive for the 1 turn at least, and after that, be on defense as a level 1 Suicider. That way, they either have to crash or they have to side if they don't want to lose that character. But most of the time, they're going to crash, and at the level 1 game at least, they're going to crash and both of them die, and that leaves one lane open for my level 2 Cocytus to stock charge the opportunity to stock charge from that open lane. So yeah. Next up, we have the 1 level assist. That's right, it's a level 1 level assist, 500 per level, and if you hard play this from hand, you can actually top check if it's a level 2 character or higher, it goes to stock. So it's nice. Honestly, I just stand by this in because honestly, the 2 stock thing is kind of meh. I don't really want to pay once. I really don't want to have to like coin flip a chance to play this for free, because it does cost 1 stock. But might as well just stand by it in, you know. So you can actually stand by at level 0 too. So yeah, there's not really need to. It also makes your level 2 Cocytus a bit beefier too, since it is level assist. Next up, we have the 2 Ainz Taige. 2 Ainz Taige. Not much to say about this. I just needed another slot at level 1. Just so I can easily fill up the whole field for the next, so I can just reach that requirement, that early play requirement for the 2-1 freestand Ainz. So yeah. And to end the level 1 lineup, we have the 1 2K counter. Just a 2K counter. It's just easy to defend your Cocytus if they do manage to get overtaken, but I hardly ever use that. Now, starting off the level 2 lineup, we have the MVP of the deck, which is the 2/2 Cocytuses. This card is amazing, and this card is from a TD too. So, I mean, at that point, no one really knew about it, but it was amazing. This card is absolutely amazing in a standby deck. So for every other character, it gains 1K, so it can get up to a max of 10-5. When it direct attacks, you can actually take a character from your waiting room and send it and add it to stock. So basically, it's a stock charge. So every time you direct attack, and this card is absolutely amazing because you can actually stand by this in at level 1, and stand by this in at level 1. And if you use the 2/1 freestand here, you can actually stand it on the turn that you stand by it in too. So it's absolutely nutty. My ideal board would be something like this. I would really just have let's say something like this. This would be what my ideal board would be. Something like this and like this. And you can have anything here in this slot, honestly. But usually you have to brainstorm right here or something like that. But this would be my ideal board is. I would have, so for one thing, this level 6 will make, assuming that you have a full board, this level 6 will make this 10-5 Cocytus into an 11-5 Cocytus. This will be an 8K, which is actually pretty high in its right, and a level 1 Suicider here. You want the level Suicider away from the assist as possible. You want her to be on defense. That way, like you can free up the lane for the next for when your turn comes around, so you can actually just like switch it over and just get free stock from that. So ideally, this is what your level 1 board should look like, or at least what I think should look like. These two, they'll have trouble getting rid of this. They'll probably they usually wouldn't go for these at level 1. They usually go for this because it's an easier target, and also like it actually they're either forced to go to something they can get rid of, and or they can just side. But siding doesn't really help much against this deck. So your only option is just to keep crashing. So yeah, this is a very strong level 1 board, and this is actually my go-to board actually. But it is really powerful, and it's just a solid setup. And yeah, these two Cockadus just makes everything so much easier at level 1. It's also yeah, just extremely powerful. Next up, we have the 3 2/1 freestand combo. This you can actually play as a level 1 as long as you have 4 or more other characters. So yeah, it's really yeah, you can actually play this at level 1, and it's standby, and it combos with the standby too. So basically, you can play the 1-ines at level 1 if you fulfill the early play conditions. Basically, how it would go is, like, let's say you have a full field, and let's say there's one here. Let's say there's a card here, and a card here, and let's also say that you have this card in particular as well. This card in particular as well. Oh, and let's say you have like some card here, or some card here. Yeah. So for this here, you have a card here, and you play the standby climax, in which it combos with this. So since these two basically activate at the same time, you can actually choose the order of the effect. You use this effect first, bounces back to hand, give 1k to someone, and usually you want to give 1k here. And then after that, standby in the Cockadus, rest it, and then after that the standby activates, freestand the Cockadus, and it can attack on the turn that it gets called in through standby. So yeah, it's a very nutty combo. Not only do you that's why it combos very well with this card. Not only do you save this card from, not only though you don't minus from playing over this card and it goes to waiting room, but you get this card back, do the shenanigans again with the soul trigger thing, and then and still have a Cockadus attack on the same turn that it gets called in through standby. So this it's really nutty, and which is why, like, you would play 4, but 2 is kind of cloggy. I mean, 4 is kind of cloggy actually. So 3 is enough, and the early pick condition is not that hard unless you did really bad in the beginning and don't have that much hand. So yeah, it's very nutty, very good card. Next up, we have the 2/1 anti-change. I believe it is an anti-change. I think it's a this card is a clock. It's a clock bomb anti-change. So not much. It's just an anti-change. The second effect's not really relevant. It does bond to a specific. I believe it belongs to a 3/2-ines, but you don't run it in this deck. So you only play this for the anti-change clock bomb. Next up, we have this rest counter. This card is also an MVP of the deck, because for one thing, it's a rest counter. It's a pseudo money counter. It is kind of pricey though, but with this build here, it is not a problem because you generate so much stock with the 2/2-ines that the stock requirements to use the rest counter is basically negligible. I mean, honestly, you'll be standbying everything in anyways. So having this card in this deck really helps. And the best part is this card is searchable and salvageable. So so let's say you use it one turn, you use Shoutir, hit the Brainstorm. After that, salvage it again and use it again next turn. It saves you that one lane, and also very defensive play. I would actually play more, but that stock price, I think it costs like 5 stock altogether. Yes, it costs 5 stock, and you ditch a card. So it's very pricey. But if you've been building stock this whole time, then you should have enough to play at least one of these for one turn. Or at least play at least one of this per game. So yeah, it's a game changer. It saves me a lot. And next up, we have the 2/1 sack counter. It's just a sack counter. I mean, there's not much else to say about it though. It's just a sack counter. It's nice, and it's yeah, it's not much to say about it. All right, starting off with the level 3 lineup, we have the 3 early plays. This is the early play Averos. This card is actually really good, really good for stalling at level 2. So what I always do with these is I always have at least 2 in hand. when I hit level 2, I always try to get these out as much as possible, because by the time you hit level 2, you should have a lot of stock already. So you can just keep playing this from hand, keep healing one, heal one to stock, heal one to stock. Oh, that's right. Basically 4 more characters. This gets -1 level in hand. Second effect, against 500 per other characters on the on your turn only, and it's on play. You may ditch a card to heal to stock. To heal to stock, which is absolutely insane. So this is the main way to stall at level 2, and I always every time I always play against like my friends and other people at the AMA shop. I always end up staying at level 2 for the longest time, because I always either play so many of these in the span of 3 turns, and I keep healing off all the damage. And also, since if you've been compressing really well with the 2/2 Cocytus, you should have a clean, your stock should be very clean. So every time that they try to push me for damage, I always either cancel or only take like 2 or 3, and I heal it off with the 3 with these early play here's. These early play is super strong, and I would play 4, but once again, it kind of clogs the deck. So yeah, it's a crazy card. Saved me a lot. Next up, we have the four Evil Eye finishers. This is your only main. This is supposed to be the main finisher of the deck. However, I honestly wouldn't play 4. The only reason I play 4 because I need the color fix for blue. I mean, I could just stand by it in, but I lose out on the heal, and I kind of don't want to lose out on the heal. So running 4, so I can just hopefully basically grab one for waiting room or from hand and stuff like that, and hopefully level up with it. Otherwise, I wouldn't. Otherwise, though, if there was another finisher I could use, I would use a different one. But yeah. So for her finisher, you can either burn for the amount of climaxes they have, or you can burn from other climaxes they have. Actually, to be completely sure, it's on climax. So on climax, you can, I believe you have to. I see. So what you can do is, I think the second one is pay 2, I believe. Ah, I see. So for this one here, on climax play, you can choose one of 2 effects. The first one is you may actually take 3 cards from the rating room and put it back into their I think stack it back. No, and shuffle it back into your opponent's deck. Or you can actually ditch 2 to burn them for the amount of climaxes they have in the waiting room. So as you can see, this is not the best finisher, but it is an option. The reason why I say it's not a best finisher, because if your opponent just refreshed, this card does nothing. This card basically does nothing, because it requires your opponent to have something in their waiting room for this to work, for this to actually do anything. But other than that, it does heal on play, so that's not bad. And plus, it's on climax play, so you can't get money counter. So that's nice, right? That's nice, right? So yeah, it's the main finisher of the deck, but it's not really. I actually kill a lot of people. I actually end up killing most of my opponents with the 2/2 Cocytus or the 3/2 early or the Albedo early plays. So yeah, but this card's nice to have. It does combo. It combos with the pants, by the way. And finally, for the level 3 lineup, we have the 2 Clockade Auras. This card is a very, very good standby target at level 3, because for one thing, if this card is in the front row, all your front row characters get 1500, including herself, which is nutty, because your Cocytus will be like, with the level assist, your Cocytus will be 10-5 plus another 1k for the level assist, so 11-5, plus another 1500, it will be 13k at level 2. It gets ridiculously beefy at level 2. And also, if you have two Mars, I mean, why would you have 2? Honestly, one is enough. If you have 2 Mars, they both give each other the 1500. So in total, that Cocytus would be 14-5. It's insane. So, but realistically, you would have the early play at level 2. So yeah, and also it helps you get over things at level 2, and it gives you a very beefy wall at level 2 as well. So this card is absolutely great. However, and I'm sorry, And the second effect is, on reverse, when this card reverses your opponent's character, you may ditch 2 to Clock Kick. So it's a nice little little secondary finisher, so to say. However, the one thing that this deck lacks a lot is a very decent finisher. The Evil Eyes are fine and all, but your Evil Eyes are basically useless if they just refresh. So yeah, you could say that's one of the more weaknesses of this deck, is that it does not have a very decent finisher. For climaxes, 4 standbys, 4 pants. Pants is so you can, if you can pants early on, you can actually grab the standby you need. So yeah, this is one reason why I play pants. Before I play gate, which is really nice. I always have hand, but sometimes I have trouble getting to those these standby climaxes sometimes. So having pants really does help early on if you trigger them. So yeah. So yeah, this is what a meta build would look like for Overlord. The one thing about this deck is that this deck is, if you already noticed, this deck builds a lot of clean stock. So in a way, this should be obvious. It may not be, but this deck is highly susceptible to stock swap. Let's say you build so much clean stock only for it to be ruined for someone who has stock swap, maybe like Konosuba or like I don't know off the top of my head. I don't know who else has stock swap, but I'm pretty sure some other sets do. So yeah, very weak to stock swap. So always keep that in mind when you're playing against other people. But other than that, though, this deck is really strong. Really strong when it comes out. And I have a feeling that when it comes out to English, it's going to be one of the fewer top decks for sure. Maybe not like top, but maybe like a tier below that top. Yeah, maybe the highest position in the tier below the top tier, if you know what I'm saying. So that's it for the video, guys. Thank you for watching. We will be having more content soon for the channel. And if you made it this far, thank you for watching. Please give the video a like, and if you want to see more content, subscribe to the channel. And yeah, and I hope you all have a safe day.